Once upon a time, and not really that long ago, the NFC West was the best division in football. It has seen an exodus of talent. The Seahawks suffering it more than anyone with the loss of their franchise quarterback, Russell Wilson, via trade to the Broncos. They still have DK Metcalf under contract, and by all appearances, things were working smoothly because DK Metcalf was involved in off-season workouts. Then comes mandatory minicamp, and there's no DK Metcalf. Pete Carroll, coach of the Seahawks, was asked on Thursday about the absence of DK Metcalf from the team's mandatory minicamp. Here's Carroll.
What do you make of DK not showing up?
It's a decision that he had to make, and we missed him. He had done a nice job and contributing, being part of everything that we had done, and then he's not here, so I can't say much for what he hasn't done here, but we'd love to have him with us. There's been conversations, some, and we're in a pretty kind of a standard, kind of semi-quiet right now, knowing the camp's coming up. These are crucial weeks to get something done. We'll see what happens, and hope that we can work something out. We really intended to get that done. I had hope that he might come in, and because he was still in the rehab phase, that he wouldn't be able to do all of the work that he would have been here, would have been good for us, and so unfortunately he wasn't here.
Pete Carroll also declined to comment on whether or not DK Metcalf would be fined. It's up to roughly $100,000 if you skip all 3 days of the mandatory minicamp, but he's sending a message. It's obvious. Look, we've seen what guys have gotten paid. The market has changed dramatically for receivers, and the Seahawks are going to have to figure this out. And for Metcalf especially, look, if I'm him, I've got a couple of concerns. Number one, I'm entering a contract year with a very muddled quarterback situation that may impact my performance, my ability to lay the foundation if I would get to the open market next year or get franchise tagged and maybe someone would or wouldn't trade for me. My value is going to be perceived as less than it would be now. And do you plan to use me more creatively in the offense? That's something Sims has been talking about for years, and he's right on the money. It's just go run your route and get open. That's how you get the ball in your hands. They don't have the creativity in their scheme. Jet sweeps, bubble screens, put him in the backfield. I mean, my God, the guy can do what Debo does. He's bigger than Debo. So I just think that he needs to know if they're not going to take care of him financially, he needs to know that he's going to be in a position to have the kind of year that allows him to get a market contract next year. So it's not an easy one for either side, because from the Seahawks perspective, why are they going to pay the guy a ton of money unless they really are committed to using him in a more diverse and creative way?
Don't you think these receivers deals are so interesting, Mike, the way they've skyrocketed and taken off now? I think we have 10 receivers now over at $20 million or more, and 7 of those have come this offseason. And then we have all these guys coming in from the college ranks who step right in and perform right away. And I remember back when Randy Moss came to the league, he was really the first guy in his rookie season who had played so great right off the bat. Because receivers, it was always the thing, receivers need a year or two, they aren't groomed, in college, and they need that year or two of experience to really catch. And they did, all of them, except for Randy Moss. And now you're seeing these guys just walk in, step up, and become the best receivers in the end. We saw it with Justin Jefferson. We saw it with Jamar Chase. We've seen it with so many receivers just right away. They're really good. So it's interesting for teams to have to make these decisions on, do we pay a guy or do we go out and get one of these guys who we feel like can step right in and become a great receiver right off the bat? And they have. So that to me is where Seattle is. Is DK Metcalf worth the 20 plus, probably $25 million a year that you're going to have to pay him? Or do you just go back you're not going to be very good this year. Do you just go back in the draft and find your receivers in the draft? That's kind of, to me, where they are.
And that's the kind of objective, dispassionate, cold, dehumanizing analysis that teams engage in all the time. What does it cost me to keep the guy I have? How much will it cost me to replace him? I will have a lesser player, but dollar for dollar, it may be a better value, and then I can reallocate the resources to some other position. I can go draft 3 receivers and just let them battle it out, let them compete, and see who emerges as the best guy. That's really the challenge for the Seahawks. So, yeah, there's a lot of factors that go into it. And I think that the pressure point for where the Seahawks really are right now, are they rebuilding or are they reloading? I think Pete Carroll believes they're reloading, and I think John Schneider is more along the lines of, let's be realistic. Let's be self-aware. We're not as good as we were. It's going to take some time to get back to where we want to be. And I hope, I like a good drama. I hope that Pete Carroll isn't being influenced by an obsession to prove Russell Wilson wrong, that we can do this my way. Russell Wilson wanted the offense to run through him. I got a system that works. I have a philosophy for football that works. It's play good defense. It's run the football. It's pass when you've softened up the defense with the running game. It's not have this high-flying offense that almost like the run and shoot was, right? And he looks down his nose at that. That's not real football. And he wants to prove that he can win his way with his guys. And DK Metcalf is clearly one of his guys. I just think that's where the tension is, that maybe they'd be better off in the long run if they traded DK Metcalf. But I think Pete Carroll recognizes they're going to be the best they can be if they keep him around, even if they aren't as good as maybe they would be in the not-too-distant future if they'd trade him.
Oh, I think that's exactly it, Mike. And I was going to say, if I was the Seahawks, I would look realistically at my roster and go, you know what, this roster is not that good. We need to draft a quarterback next year when the quarterback draft looks pretty good. So let's trade DK Metcalf. Let's get what we can get for him. Let's get a first-round draft pick, hopefully, for him. We'll have extra first-round draft pick next year, and we'll have a chance to get us a really good quarterback and start the rebuild process. But when you look at Pete Carroll's age, at 70, he doesn't want to rebuild, and he thinks he has a good roster, at least based on what he said. He thinks he has a good quarterback or 2 good quarterbacks. And I go back to if you have 2 good quarterbacks, you don't have a good quarterback. And I don't think they have a good quarterback, and I don't think they're going to be very good this year. I think they would be better served trading DK Metcalf, but I don't think that happens. I do think they sign him to a long-term deal, and I'm not sure that's the right thing for DK Metcalf, and I'm not sure that's the right thing for the Seattle Seahawks.
You know the best thing about being 70?
What?
You'll get there.
I'm not there yet.
3 months. You'll get there 3 months before I do.
True. Oh, that's true. Yeah, good point.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.